There is a question. Almost everyone has thought about it. But almost no one dares to really face it. What happens after we die? Is it eternal darkness? Or is it a door that opens to something beyond our imagination? The stories you're about to hear are not for the faint of heart. They are real diaries of lost souls, memories from the other world. And if these things are true, then you have never really been alone. In March 2006, a man named James Regan entered a hypnotherapy clinic in Virginia, USA. He was not looking for a cure, but rather to verify a recurring dream. He saw himself as a soldier burning to death in a plane that crashed into the ocean. During deep hypnosis, James began speaking in a strange voice, sobbing and accurately describing a fighter plane called a Corsair, a model of American aircraft used in World War II. He had never studied military history, but he could say his squadron number, the name of his commander, and describe the scar behind the ear of a fellow soldier who had died with him. A week later, an independent investigator traced the records and discovered it all matched up to the last detail. But not everyone is reincarnated. There are souls who can't move on. They are stuck between two worlds, and they are angry. A family in the U.S. state of Idaho moved into an old house built in 1920. Just 3 weeks later, a 5-year-old girl started playing with a man in military uniform. The girl accurately described the badge, the color of the uniform, and even his number. When her parents looked for information, they were shocked. The soldier had died in the war in 1943, in that very house, and he had never been properly buried. In a small village in northern India, a 3-year-old boy told his parents, "I used to live in the village next door. I was hit on the head and died." At first, everyone thought it was a childish fantasy, until the boy took the adults to a house 20 kilometers away, a place no one in his family had ever been. He pointed to a strange man and said, "He killed me." In their confusion, the local police decided to investigate the boy's story. They dug up the area he pointed to, and they found a body with a head wound that matched the description perfectly. Many children have strange behaviors when they are young, speak languages that no one taught them, know things that are beyond their age, and often cry out in their dreams because of fire, water, guns, collapsing walls. Reincarnation researchers call these memories from past lives that have not been erased. But sometimes there is something that does not want those memories to disappear, and it follows them from one life to the next. A woman named Alice living in Scotland bought a necklace at a flea market. From that day on, she began to have terrible nightmares. A girl was strangled and buried in the woods. In her dream, Alice saw herself as the victim. She had the necklace tested and found a very faint blood sample under the opening of the pendant. DNA results: female underage missing since 1971. The case has never been solved. The problem is, Alice was born in the month the girl disappeared. It was once believed that souls could not be liberated because of heavy karma, but in reality, most are stuck because of unresolved emotions: anger, hatred, unfulfilled love, or of fear. A newlywed couple rented an apartment in Thailand. Every night they heard a woman crying on the balcony. When they opened the door, no one was there. The previous owner revealed a girl jumped to her death there because her lover betrayed her on their wedding night. Love kept her, but it had rotted into resentment. There's a strange case recorded in Brazil. A man was in a near-fatal accident. After 3 days in a coma, he woke up, but he had no memory of his family, wife, children, or job. Instead, he spoke in a different voice and knew the details of the life of a person who had just died in another city on the same day. The researcher said it was not that he woke up, but that another soul entered the body that had just been revived. Sometimes souls do not need to reincarnate, they just need an empty body. In a small town in Romania, there's a man who lives alone in the woods. The locals say that he never goes out during the day. When someone accidentally takes a picture of him, something strange happens. There is no shadow. An amateur filmmaker tries to approach him, but only receives one sentence. I have never been reborn. I have been trapped here since 162 years ago. The man disappears without a trace 3 days later. In the abandoned house, people found a diary, the last page written in blood. The most dangerous thing is not death. It is the inability to die. A leaked document from a mysterious organization in Russia called the Inversus Reincarnation Program. They have been tracking unusual reincarnation cases for over 40 years. The document states a soul reincarnated into two people in two countries at the same time. A child drowned. Then 3 minutes later, a cry was heard from the womb of a pregnant woman in a nearby hospital. A soul refused to reincarnate and possess the electronic system, causing the camera to record a face in the mirror. That did not match the real person. They have known for a long time, but never made it public. There's a theory that few people believe we are not our original selves. Every dream you have, every unexplained memory, could be fragments from past lives you didn't know you had. Someone woke up from a coma speaking fluent ancient Greek, a language he never learned. Someone was afraid of water, only to discover that he drowned in a past life. So, what if all you thought you were was actually a patchwork of someone who had died? When you close your eyes for the last time, are you sure that everything is over? Or is it just the exit of a temporary waiting room before you enter another life, another name, another destiny? Maybe the life you are living today is not the first, and certainly not the last. The only question that remains is, who will you be next? And when the next life begins, will you realize you have lived before a few weeks after the video Reincarnation and the Soul That Cannot Be Released went viral? A viewer sent the author an anonymous email. I know a spirit that has been following me since I was a child, and after your video it started whispering more clearly. The viewer recounted that since he was a child, he always saw a little girl standing in the mirror, but only when he cried. As he grew up, he thought it was a childhood hallucination, until his girlfriend took a picture of his reflection in the mirror, where he was standing alone but with two shadows. In his most recent dream, the spirit said, "You were my brother 2 lives ago, but you left me in the water." And since then, every time he passed by the mirror, the room lights would flicker, and the sound of dripping water came from nowhere. A researcher in Switzerland claimed in a post that was removed just 3 hours after it was posted, the Earth's vibrational frequency is changing. The gateway between lives is weakening. In the future, souls may be stuck in an intermediate state forever. This means that if you die after that point, you may not be able to transcend. You may not be able to return to being human, and will forever drift like an unheard echo. Some recent phenomena are considered evidence. Many children no longer remember anything about their past lives, despite having very clear memories. Clinically dead people no longer see the light at the end of the tunnel. A sharp increase in the number of shadow people recorded by cameras, but not interacting with reality. Finally, there is a story that is only told by those who are awakened. They all have one thing in common. They narrowly escaped death. And then they always felt like they were being watched. A man was in a serious car accident, thought to be dead. In that moment, he saw a person who looked exactly like him, standing next to him, whispering, "Not now." He survived, but since then, the face in the mirror has always looked at him before he turned around. Maybe a soul clone was born waiting to replace him, but he lived too long, and now it doesn't know where to go. Some mystics believe that there is an entity that stands between lives. It is not an angel, not a demon. It is the gatekeeper. When a soul leaves the body, it goes to a field of mist, where it waits to be called by name. But if you made a big mistake in a past life, your name is never called. You will forever wander in the buffer zone of time and space. Some people who have had near-death experiences report, "I saw thousands of people standing silently in the mist. No one spoke, no one moved. Then a pair of eyes appeared in the darkness. There was no body, just eyes looking at me." A 6-year-old girl in South Africa once told her parents, "If I do bad things, I will be taken to a place with a talking wall." When asked for more details, the girl drew a large gate with a strange symbol and a line of people being sucked into a dark vortex. A theology professor was shocked when he saw the drawing. The symbol the girl drew is exactly like a seal in an ancient Kabbalah text about a place called Sheol, a place where souls are completely erased. But how could a 6-year-old know that? It is believed that not all souls are reincarnated. Souls that are systemically defective or no longer fit into the current order will be erased from reality forever. Another theory is even more terrifying. This world is a place where souls are tested. Every time you are born, your soul will be attached to a specific scenario. If you know how to love, know how to sacrifice, do not betray your nature, then you will be transitioned, live in a higher dimension of reality. But if you be jealous, hateful, hurt other souls, you will be reset, reincarnated, but without your original nature. Some souls are not living to learn, but to be observed. The question is, are you the learner or the one being observed? And if you are no longer yourself after each life, then who is living in your body today? A psychic once warned, there are souls that cannot reincarnate anymore, not because of karma, but because the gate has closed. In recent years, the frequency of collective dreams has been repeated, where people dream of a long corridor with many doors gradually closing, in which there is a dream that is often mentioned. You run through many doors. Each door closes behind you faster and faster. And finally, you stand in front of a door that is locked forever. It is believed that it is a sign that your soul has been blocked from the cycle of reincarnation. And if the last door closes when you are not ready, you will become something that does not belong anywhere. No longer a person and no longer a soul, just a shadow that exists. There's a strange phenomenon in many hospitals around the world. Cameras record white shadows emerging from the bodies of dying people, but instead of flying up, it is pulled back towards a dark corner. Some doctors say, "I feel like there is something standing in the corner of the room, waiting for someone to die." And not all souls are free to leave. Ancient documents talk about an entity called Soul Hunter, an entity that exists outside the law of cause and effect, specializing in taking away vulnerable souls. It doesn't need a reason, it just needs you to be weak at the right time, and you will never be reborn. You just become energy to feed something else. A child in Greece once said, "I used to be a grandfather, but after I told my mother, that night I dreamed that someone erased my name tag in the wind. After that dream, the child had no memory of his previous life." A reincarnation researcher recorded 37 such cases, common denominators. They remembered their past life very clearly. They told it publicly. And within 3 days, all memories disappeared. Some spiritualists believe there is a protocol of silence where souls must swear not to reveal their true nature. If anyone breaks it, they are made new from scratch, no longer themselves. A group of researchers discovered a strange phenomenon in the dreams of people who had been clinically dead. They dreamed that they were standing on the top of a high mountain where a circle of light was gradually shrinking. In the dream, I felt like I was being forced into that circle one person shared, but I didn't want to. I wanted to step outside of it. The person did so, stepped out of the circle of light, and immediately felt a strong pull pushing them into another space. They couldn't explain why, but it seemed like the energy from the reincarnation system was trying to bring them back. Some mystics believe that some souls are not bound by the cycle of reincarnation. They try to step outside this rule seeking freedom, but not everyone can succeed. When they do, the system will react strongly because they no longer fit into this order. This creates an underground war between souls, some wanting to escape the cycle, some being forced to return to the next life. And when the rebellious souls are too strong, they will be watched, tracked, and hidden by inexplicable forces. A strange story from a man who experienced clinical death and survived. He said that in his dream he met an elderly spirit. This person looked at him and said, "We have been branded, but you don't understand it." The man didn't understand, but then he started having strange dreams where he felt like he was being watched. In those dreams, he was always followed by a dark figure, an entity that couldn't be seen clearly, but the feeling of cold breath on his neck indicated its presence. Some people have had similar experiences. They felt like they didn't belong in this world, but couldn't explain why. They dreamed that they were branded, an invisible symbol but very clear in their subconscious. This symbol made it impossible for them to continue to this life without feeling watched, like they were being watched by an invisible force. The mark cannot be removed, and the souls who are marked will never be allowed to reincarnate freely. From then on, they must live in a trapped state, unable to escape. One day, a group of people calling themselves the Awakened decided to search for answers about the truth of the cycle of reincarnation. They wanted to break this rule not only to be free, but also to free the souls of those trapped. They began to search for ancient symbols, secrets hidden in mystical books and clues in spiritual rituals. And then they discovered something terrifying. There is only one way to escape this cycle, by entering a portal that no one knows about. But this portal only opens when the soul has truly understood and accepted the laws of the universe. One of the people in the group, Anna, decided to enter this portal. But as soon as she entered, everything suddenly went dark. The space around her disappeared, and she felt only an endless emptiness. When she awoke, she was nowhere on earth. She had left not just this life, but everything. She was no longer a spirit. She was just lonely energy forgotten and buried in the vastness of the universe. She was part of the invisible belonging to nothing. There are souls that are not allowed to reincarnate, not because they have achieved enough karma to be liberated, but for another reason. They are manipulated. An invisible force can control souls and keep them in a state of both life and death. An example: a woman after her death in her daughter's dream always reminded her of a strange man. This man was always present in all her dreams, even the strange dreams she had when she was alive. The daughter searched for answers and discovered that there is a force that controls souls, not a god or a demon, but a form of dark energy. And when this soul cannot escape, they become puppets in the hands of the manipulator. When the soul cannot be free, it will be a tool for the immortality of invisible forces. In esoteric records, there is a mysterious gate that is said to be the final gate. Every person when dying stands before this gate and decides whether or not to pass through. But the scary thing is, this gate only opens for souls who have understood the entire cycle of reincarnation, and those who cannot understand will be stuck forever. Why? Because the cycle of reincarnation is not a random spiral. Each soul needs to go through thousands of births and deaths to understand the nature of the universe. But not everyone can pass through this gate. Some souls, due to not being self-aware enough, will be absorbed into the void world, becoming energy for other creatures. The gate of apocalypse never opens for those who are not ready. A soul approached the final gate. He was a scientist who had spent his life searching for the truth about the universe. Before he died, he tried to decipher a profound question. If our souls never die, is there a way to break this cycle? As he approached the gate, he found himself standing in a completely dark space, with nothing but a black shadow in front of him. The black shadow spoke. "You have searched for a long time, but you still do not have the ability to understand. We cannot break this cycle. It is an essential part of the universe." And then something terrible happened. His soul was sealed. He did not pass through the gate, but was imprisoned in another space, unable to return to this life and unable to enter the afterlife. He became an exiled soul lost forever in the endless space. If you stand before the final gate, would you dare to step through and face the truth about the nature of the universe? Or would you remain trapped in the cycle of reincarnation, forever unable to escape? Don't forget, the final gate is only open to those who are ready to face themselves, even the darkest parts of their souls. Are you ready to face the truth about your own soul? Or will you continue to be part of the system that cannot escape? If you've made it to the end of this video, you may be one of those souls searching for answers. But remember, sometimes the truth isn't always what you want to find. You want to find.